Welcome to the Rise and Roar with the B.A.D.A.S.S Lioness podcast, where women decide no more mediocrity or abandoning their well-being. I am Ginine Emily Smith, your badass host and founder of the B.A.D.A.S S Lioness movement. I am a story-to-stage coach and co-host of the TV show Rockstar Diaries Healing Out Loud. Are you ready to level up your standards, rewrite your nervous system, repattern conditioned thinking, and rise into your next chapter? This is the perfect place for you. Everything we share on this podcast is not theory. It is rooted in decades of lived experience that only comes from walking through the fire and coming out changed. Are you ready to turn scars into stories that heal and make a difference? Get ready to rise, revive, and thrive, because the lioness in you is ready to roar.
And now for part 2, those 4 C's. If you didn't hear part 1, you might want to go back and take a listen.
Welcome to the Rise and Roar with the B.A.D.A.S.S Lioness. I am your badass host, Ginine Emily Smith, and today's conversation, I tell you what, it's for every woman who has ever felt successful on the outside, yet quietly wondered if there was something more calling her forward. I had the opportunity to meet this amazing woman down in San Diego at the Deep Dive event, which was phenomenal in itself, seeing her do her work, her magic. But our guest today, her name is Mary Lou Panzano. She is a powerhouse in leadership, communication, and transformation. After decades leading inside major global corporations, she made the courageous decision to walk away from the executive world and build a life rooted in purpose, impact, and authentic leadership. She's an award-winning communications executive, leadership coach, speaker, author, creator of the 4 C's Change Framework. She helps people navigate change with clarity, courage, caring, and connection. Please help me welcome the incredible Mary Lou
Panzano.
And so I want to talk about those 4 C's for the woman out there who is going through that transition from, again, it could be like where the husband was the primary, brought the money in, and now the woman needs to bring in the money, which I have 3 clients right now that are in that situation, right? So let's talk about your 4 C's, because I loved it when you spoke about them at the deep dive. You are fascinating. You bring in real life experience, but also you are so passionate about people, about the heart-centered approach. So speaking to those women out there right now that don't know what to do, let's walk them through those 4 C's. Is that okay with you? Can we do that?
Absolutely. And the first thing I want to say is that you can do it.
Yes.
So
Amen.
Just want to say that you can do it. Here are the 4 C's. I'm going to rattle them off quickly and then I'll explain them. The first C is clarity. The second C is connection. The third C is caring. And there's 2 parts to that. And the 4th C is courage. So those are the 4 C's.
Yes.
So now let me dive in a little bit on them. So the first around clarity is know and stick to your goal. And this is sometimes one of the most challenging things that people face, especially that women who are considering, I'm in this environment that no longer serves many of those things you just rattled out, Ginine, that it doesn't serve me professionally, personally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm drowning here, and I just don't feel like I need to stay, that I want to stay here any longer. And when I talk about knowing and sticking to the goal might be, how do I transition myself out of this and into something else? What is the something else? A lot of times people haven't really thought a lot about it. I said I wanted to teach, but I didn't know what I was going to teach. I didn't know to whom I was going to teach. I didn't know how I was going to teach. I just knew that was something that's been in my soul since I was 7 years old.
Yep.
And so it took a while for me to figure out what that was. It took a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, and waking up in the middle of the night saying, Mary Lou, the one thing you know better than anybody else is how to move through change and prosper through it. Go teach your change framework. I didn't know, I was clear enough about the what, but I wasn't so sure about the how. That's okay. when you have a goal, whether it's a short-term goal or a long-term goal, it's like when you want to go someplace you've never been before. You use Waze or Google Maps, right? And
Yep.
you turn the app on and it shows you where you are, and there's a blinking arrow and there's streets, and you can start walking or driving and the arrow just goes along. It just shows you where you are. But the app is no use to you unless you give it a destination. You have to give it like, what's my goal? Where am I trying to get? You may change your destination, and that's okay. Because over time it'll evolve. But the first thing is to get some clarity around what's that thing that fires you up.
Okay.
Now, for me, what I have learned over time is that what really fired me up at work wasn't all the great communications work I did and all the awards I have. It was watching and helping my people grow and develop and become the best versions of themselves, human beings and professionally. Now that's what I get to do. I help people become the best versions of themselves through the coaching work that I do with them. So number one is clarity. The second is connection. And here's where a lot of leaders sort of slip, and where you yourself, as you're thinking about what it is I want next for myself, who do you know? Who's in a role like that? Who can you talk with? Who's in your network? How do you expand your network? How do you listen to different perspectives? And don't listen to judge, listen to understand. And nobody goes at it alone, Ginine. I don't care who you are. There's no such thing in my vocabulary as a self-made millionaire. There's no such thing. Because even if the person is sitting in a basement creating the best new AI tool on the planet, they still need somebody to tell them about it, and they still need somebody to buy it for them.
Yes.
So you still need other people, however you do that. And I think what people, and women in particular, we're so prideful that we forget that other people are there to help us, and we have to ask for that help. So engaging and involving others in helping you shift and make whatever that change is that you want to make. The third is caring, and caring has two parts to it. The first is that we as human beings are all connected. So anything that you change for yourself in your own life is going to have an impact on others, whether it's your family, your friends, your colleagues, whatever. If I decide to leave my job, I'm leaving back my team. I'm changing the dynamic in my family. People are saying, Mary Lou, what are you doing? You left a 6-figure corporate executive role and you're gonna do what? Really? Okay, well, good for you. Are you sure you're okay with that, right?
Yes.
So there's a ripple effect. Just like, dominoes, you line them all up and you hit one domino and it impacts hundreds of other ones lined up behind it. So just consider what that is. You don't have to change your decision, or you don't have to change what you do, but don't forget that there are people around you who are probably going to judge your decision, and they're going to question your decision. And you have to be strong enough in it to say, this is something I have to do for me. I know it's going to have an impact on you. I will help support you through my change. Because they're going to need that too. And that's where the other part of it comes in. You have to take care of yourself, because you do have to have the fortitude, and you do have to have the presence of mind and the physiological health in order to do the things that you want to do with the energy and stamina that you're going to need when you make a huge shift in your career.
Absolutely.
So it's twofold. Take care of the people impacted by the change and take care of yourself. And then the last one is the courage, which we started talking about a little bit earlier, the courage. And none of those other things matter unless you don't do anything. If you don't take any action, even if it's a small little action, it might be, finding somebody to talk to about this. It might be doing a little research on whatever it is you're thinking about doing next. It might be listening to some podcasts. I don't know. It is whatever it is for you. But if you don't do anything to at least get yourself moving in some forward motion, there's no momentum. Nothing builds from there, because you can have all of the clarity of Waterford Crystal, and you can have as many friends and connections as, I don't know, Beyonce or Taylor Swift, or pick somebody like that. And you can have all of the caring as much as Mother Teresa. But if you don't do anything with any of that, you just keep yourself paralyzed, and you don't need to be paralyzed. You're going to make mistakes, I promise you. And that's okay, because you're going to learn from every single one of those mistakes. And if you go into all of this with a sense of courage, a sense of curiosity, and a sense of purpose, like, what are the things that light you up? Think about it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't do, is they don't take the time, whether they're in a role and they're trying to get out of a role, or their job has just been eliminated and now they're freaking out. They don't know what they're going to do next. And I understand, because most of the clients that have come to me for support are in some sort of career transition. Mm-hmm. They're either at the end of their current corporate career thinking about what they want to do next. They're in a job that has a toxic environment, like you mentioned earlier, and where they're like, I just got to get out of here and I don't know how to do it. The job market is very, very complicated now. It's very competitive now, if that job is the next thing you want to do. But if you want to break away from somebody else paying you and you go figure out what lights you up and bring it to the world, that's a different scenario. But yeah, the financial part is a huge pressure. A number of the women that I'm working with are the breadwinners. Mm-hmm. Okay. Their husbands or if they are married, are either looking for jobs themselves, or they have their own businesses and they're struggling in their own businesses. And they're like, Mary Lou, I can't give this up because I need the benefits. I need the salary. Yep. I like, yes, I get it. And those have to be priorities for you too. You may have remembered my saying, let's go talk to our financial advisor before I pull this trigger and make sure we can carry this together. Right. Yes. And so that was a huge factor for me as well. And I don't want to talk about how much I've had to pay for health insurance because I don't have company health insurance and I'm not Medicare eligible yet, but we figured it out and we're making it work. But that's the model. Clarity, I love that. Connection, caring, and courage. And it sounds like a simple framework, and it is. And there are a series of behaviors and ways of just sort of bringing yourself into the world in a different way that I call 12 prosperity principles. And there are 3 that undermine each one of these. I shouldn't say undermine. They're like the foundation for how do you make it work? If you think of the 4 C's as a recipe, those are the ingredients, and the 12 principles that I talk about in my book, they're on my website also, are the instructions. How do you make the framework work? Oh, epic. And everybody has to go. I shouldn't say that go get her book. It is life-changing. It truly is. I don't know if you want to call it an escape plan or the get out plan, when I finally said enough is enough, but it truly took me 5 years. And I don't look at that 5 years, though, as a really long time. It happened overnight, but I was taking action every single day. I knew what I wanted. I may not have been able to get out of it. And health insurance was one of the reasons. I was single at the time, though, and I needed a paycheck coming in. But every single day, I worked at least 5-10 minutes on that goal to get me to that point. And 5 years of 5-10 minutes a day adds up exponentially. It's like that penny thing. I don't know if you've heard of, yes, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't even want to try to say, but it's, save a penny a day. By a certain time, you're going to have millions of dollars. It's kind of the same with time. If you are dedicated and intentional with your time, and again, it took me 5 years and I will never, ever go back. I am in such freedom and joy and bliss, and life is not easy. We can't say that it's never easy. God did not promise us a peaches and cream rose garden, right? But it's so worth it because it goes, like you said, you knew the what and the why, just not the how. And so I just want to encourage folks to go out and get your book, because that starts the how process. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I appreciate that really very much. And what's interesting is that what people have been talking about with the book is that from a business perspective, so if you put your business hat on for a minute, You know,
Mm-hmm.
the clarity piece and the courage piece, most people sort of get that, even though they may not
Yes.
be as clear about what they want to change and why and all of that. They could use better messaging and all. That's, you know, those are like the business strategic pieces, the what
Yes.
and then move, like what
Mm-hmm.
and get it done, right? What they miss in the middle is the human part of it, the
Right.
human connection piece. And that's
Yes.
what often gets either blown through or just gets ignored altogether. It's like, I
It
don't care what
does.
they think. This is what we're doing. It's like, well, if you don't care about them, why should they care about your change? Just think
Exactly.
about that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So the piece of this that's interesting is that I share the framework in both the business and the personal context, but then the book gets personal
I love it.
because companies don't change themselves. People
Right.
change companies.
Right.
There's not some other fact, and yes, there are other factors that may change what are happening in your life. You can't control what goes on around you, but all you can control is what you do. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's like I can go in and talk to companies all day long, but the ones who need to change are the leaders.
Yes.
And the way you change is
Amen.
through behavior change. And
Yep.
that's why the second half of the book is all around these 12 principles for how to live a purpose, heart led
Mm.
life through whatever change you're trying to make. And to your point, I'm on year 3 of my change. We'll see we'll see what happens in a year or two from now. But every single day, you have to be doing a little something to
Yes.
help you stay focused on your goal, because life is going to throw distractions at you
Yes.
1,000 times a day, maybe
Mm-hmm.
more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have at least some idea of what the future could look like for me and what you want to build for yourself, those distractions are going to cloud your vision over and over again. But if you do one little thing every single day, even if it's an affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
then you're programming your subconscious mind to say, look for those things that are going to help me move another step, a little step closer, a little step closer, 1 inch,
Yes.
1 inch.
Yes.
Don't think about yardsticks and miles, because you'll get overwhelmed. And
Yes.
it will seem like that's never going to happen for me. That's too big a nut to crack.
Yes.
Fine, get a small little pistachio and go one little nut at a time.
Oh, I love pistachios. But you said distractions, there, interruptions, right? There's the bullies in our head, the distractions in our head.
Yeah.
And one statement that really was so obvious to me and a no-brainer, but changed my life several years ago, was it is okay to release those things that do not serve you well. And that includes toxic family members. It doesn't mean you're getting rid of them, but it can mean that you're responding differently. You're minimizing how much time you
Yeah.
spend. There's so many different things. I loved what Mel Robbins said. You talk about reading and listening to others and learning from others, but in her book, Let Them, she talks about the annoying uncle that's always just at every single family gathering going on about politics in a negative way, right? And I have a couple family members that are
Uh-huh.
like that, and you can't control what they do. And she says, but you can choose to just completely cancel them from your life and not ever show up to family events, which what good is that doing to that for you, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
you could choose, and she uses this example. She says, you could walk into the room and you could say, Uncle such and such, we're going to have a dinner party. I really would like for you to come because I love you. You're part of the family. But one of the rules at our house is that we do not speak about politics in a negative sort of way. You put
Yeah.
those boundaries. If you can adhere to those boundaries, you're more than invited, right? It's like there's a way that you can respond to where it's good for you. It gets your point across. You're not canceling. I hate the cancel culture. I tell you
Yeah,
what.
I do too.
And getting rid of the things that don't serve you well. Like I know social media is really a necessity right now, especially for businesses. It's such a great way to become visible and get your message out there. I understand that. But for a while, I had to get off of social media for a couple of years altogether because it
Mhm.
was not serving me well. I wasn't able to handle all the negativity. I had to learn how to respond to that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, because you talked about the distractions. There's also, you can release the things that do not serve you well, that are preventing you, even on a daily basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
From
Mm-hmm.
getting where you want to go. Like if that 5-10 minutes, right? That's not a lot of time, but it is a lot of time that can
Yeah.
move you towards that goal.
Yeah, and
So
I think one of the things that you made me think of, and I love Mel Robbins and I loved Let Them, because I too have, come across some people. It's like, oh my gosh, they're just so, I wish they would just stop, like whatever.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
you know what? Let them do their thing. I'm going to
Yep, yep.
focus someplace else, or I'm going to, leave the room, or I'm just going to tune it out. And I'm just going
Yes.
to say, that's your perspective. Good for you.
Good for you.
I
Exactly.
believe something
Yep.
different. Let's have another drink or something. But I
Yes.
think one of the things that helps with having that clarity, and again, even if the clarity is really wide, it'll narrow over time as you start to experiment with things and just really find your groove, whatever that groove is for you.
Yes.
But I think what happens is that when you know what that is, then
Hmm.
it's easier to say no to the things that don't
Right.
serve that, or that don't help you get in that direction. I think
Right.
it's Warren Buffett who has said something like that the most successful people say no to almost everything, because
Yes.
they're so laser focused on the things that matter the most. And I think
Yes.
Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is now probably 30 or 40 years old already, but he says something like, the most important thing is that the most important thing remain the
The
most
most
important
important
thing.
thing. Yes.
And that is
Yes.
something that has started to, I've really started to internalize that a lot for me, because I would also get like disappointed in myself. I'm like, you said you were going to do that thing and you haven't gotten to it yet.
Hmm.
It's like, well, then
Right.
maybe that's not the most important thing, Mary Lou.
I love it.
I'm like,
I love
okay,
it.
thank you for reminding me of that. And priorities change all the time depending on what's happening in your life. You might have
Yes.
a sick parent, or you might have a child who has certain needs, or there's all kinds of what really, I just, every time I talk to some of the clients that I coach, I talk with them about these boulders on their shoulders. And usually for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the conversation, they're just unloading. They're just saying, I'm like, well, what's going on? What do you want to talk about today? What's your topic? What do you want to get out of this? It's the same question, but it's like, what do you want to get out of this hour together? And usually for 10 or 12 minutes, all they're doing is like exploding all of the stress and all these things that are like they're carrying on their shoulders. And women, I swear, are carrying twice as much as men are carrying. I
Oh
just
yeah.
know they are. And their
Yep.
shoulders are not quite as
Yep.
muscularly developed, right? So a lot of times it's just a matter of having someone you can talk to that is not going to judge what you're saying. It's going to give you a safe,
Yes.
private, confidential hour. What a gift. An
Mhm.
hour to just release what's going on and say, all right, now you said you wanted to talk about this problem you're having with your boss, but it sounds like you've got another problem just based on what you
Yes.
just told me. What do you want to do today? It's up to you. It's your hour, right? But I
Yes.
think that is something that most people don't get the opportunity to have conversations like that, where
Right.
they feel like they're not being judged. They can just come to the table with what's on their mind and what they need from the moment. And then with some good questions and some conversation, they come in like this and they walk out like this,
Hmm. Right.
because of that
Right.
engagement, because somebody is connecting with them on a level that's letting
Ah,
them just release the pressure
yes.
that's building up. And I think that a lot of times, my guess, and this is how I felt, I really, really struggled with not the decision. Like the decision to retire now was like done. And as soon as we knew we weren't going to be, starving to death because we don't have enough money to feed ourselves. It's like, okay, as long as we can handle that, then I can move on. It was the letting go
Hmm.
that was the hardest
Hmm.
part for me.
Yeah.
And it was like coming to terms with closing a chapter that
Right.
was that I worked my whole life for. I mean,
Right.
I was in the job I wanted to have. Like I aspired to be the head of communications for internal communications for a medium to large size company in the United States. I could say
Hmm.
it that fast because when I was out of a job, you have to sort of have a, what kind of job do you want statement in your head,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And that was mine. I was like, I was in the job I wanted, and it was the career I wanted. And then too many things were just giving me signals that this is no longer serving what you really need to be doing, Mary Lou.
Mhm,
God is
mhm.
calling you to do something else. You're
Oh,
going to take everything you've done with you. You're not going to shut the door and close it and burn it. Like all of
right.
your experience comes with you. That's the beauty of
Exactly.
it. And then,
Yes.
yeah, and I loved how you said earlier, Ginine, that I get to choose. I have this freedom of
Yes.
choice right now
Yep.
that I can do what I want with whom I want, when I
Yes.
want, and I can
Yes.
say yes or no to anything I want. And the only person I'm accountable to is myself.
Yes.
I also say my husband, because if I didn't have him to sequester the dog while I'm doing podcasts and during my coaching calls and to support me in all other ways, I don't know that I could have done it alone, because most people can't do it alone. But you need the support system around you. And that's where those relationships and
Absolutely.
connections really come into play.
Right. So once I made the decision that enough is enough, and I made connection number one priority, and I moved forward to my calling, I have freedom. My husband and I have traveled the world. We live in bliss. We're able to create what we want. We have a TV show, literally like SNL, where we say what we want, do what we want. I'm an international best-selling author 4 times over. We're award-winning songwriters. We get to do our music, like original music, right? We are doing what we love. Most importantly, we're able to be there for the people that we love. We've had 3 deaths in the last 2 years of
Mm-hmm.
very, very close family members, including my mom. And we weren't told by some corporation, you cannot take more than 3 bereavement days off, for God's sake,
Right.
right? It is
Right.
about freedom. It's about choice. I've got more energy now that I'm turned 60 this year than I ever did in my 20s, 30s, 40s, right? It's the things that matter the most to you. And again, we don't say these things to brag. We're giving the results that if you are at the point where you're saying enough is enough and you're wondering what it truly is like on the other side, Mary Lou and I are here to tell you that it is phenomenal. The work doesn't stop. And I call it work. It's really not work. I don't call it work. I call it just every day I get up to do what I love to do. And so I do
That's
like to focus on the positive, the results.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I will tell you, I have friends and family that say to us, Mary Lou, you're not really retired. I said, well,
Right.
I don't know how you define retirement, but maybe let's start with that. For me, I knew that retirement was not going to be sitting out on my deck every day, only reading books or only playing the piano or only at the beach. Like I love doing all those things, or only traveling the world, whatever those things are for me. I'm a communicator. I love to write.
Mm-hmm.
I love to speak in front of groups. I love to
Mm-hmm.
teach. I love to help people. And so I'm doing exactly what I love to do, the way I want to do it. Are there things I wish I could be doing more of? Yes. Is it work? Of course it's work. It took me 27 months to write my book. Of
Yeah.
course it's work. But, here it is. And now, it's got the Centenary University Press on it. I hope kids in school and college will
Oh,
start reading this book, right? If they
mm-hmm.
want to,
Yep.
if they want to start off their careers handling communications and don't screw it up the way I did. Right. But I think that the thing is that it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved
Yes.
what you said earlier, that it's scarier when it feels like it's scarier to stay where you are than it is to get out of the zone that you're in.
Yes.
Then that's when the triggers start to shift in a different direction. And I love that you said that, because for me, I can't forget sitting on that plane saying to myself, look at what I'm going back to. Is this
Yeah.
really what I want to be doing for the next
Right.
2 or 3 years of my life? And I
Ugh.
just had no idea how physically and mentally exhausted I was. And when you mentioned family loss, we had 5
Mm.
family
Mm.
deaths in about a 16-month period. My brother, my husband's brother, my husband's sister, he lost a niece. We lost an uncle, like just one after the next. And that
Yes.
year of 2022 wound up becoming me using my communication skills to create PowerPoints for celebrations of life. I mean, who thought I'd be doing that, right, all day long? But
Oh,
that's what the family needed, and that's what I was able to give them because I had the time and the freedom to do it. I don't
yes.
know how I would have done that if I was in the job. I wouldn't have been able to.
Right.
And it was
Right.
important to be there for the family, and I was and still am.
I love that. Any parting words for our listener out there, for the woman again who is sitting there thinking to herself, oh, thank God I'm hearing this message. I'm ready to go and rock and roll.
Yeah, I think the first message is that you can break
Mm,
away from the things that feel like you are absolutely trapped in. Will it happen overnight? Probably not, but it can be done. And you give yourself the gift of a little bit of time to think about what are those things that if there were no barriers, what are those things that I love to do most? How would I use all of the things I've learned in my career to do whatever, to serve next, whatever that is for you? The
mhm.
second thing I would say is that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. There's people like Ginine, there's people like me, there's resources out there. Use your friends, use your networks, take advantage of the people
Yes.
around you, to give you the support that you need to work through it, because it is work. It is like switching a career, whatever that means for you, is another job. And you
Yes.
might say to yourself, I can't breathe as it is already, Mary Lou. Can't even
Yeah.
imagine what another job is. But to have an aspiration or a vision of what it could be, that will motivate you, and that will help you start to take some steps toward that, whatever that is. It can happen for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary Lou. It has been an honor having you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. I adore you. I
I
just
adore
adore you.
you. I can't wait to meet you somewhere, you and your husband, anywhere around the world. I'll meet you guys anywhere and let's
Yeah,
do something fun.
we so enjoyed meeting you, and I know John said to say hello to you and Tracy too.
Oh, and Tracy says hello. Well, and we're
Great.
going to have you on Rockstar Diaries. So stay
Oh,
tuned,
my heart.
everybody. But we're closing out this session of Rise and Roar with a Badass Lioness. And remember, don't do it alone. Do what you love most and integrate everything from your career choice, everything that you've learned, right? I love when you said that, because there's nothing that was a waste of time, because we always learn, even from what we perceive as a mistake, or it's all learning that we can use to share to help others. Thank you for joining us at the Rise and Roar with the Badass Lioness. This is Ginine Emily Smith, your Badass Lioness host. Thank you for tuning in today. Our goal here, Lioness, is to help you in the most authentic way show up as the most authentic you. Please help spread the word to all women who need this. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review if you would, so we could be heard through all the noise. Please send to a friend who needs this. Love you. See you next time, Lioness.